All right.
Are you telling jokes? I love jokes.
Oh, all right, then you'll love this one. Okay. Why do women have boobs? So you got something to look at while you're talking to them.
Hello all, this is Starbird, and I disagree. Finally got around to this one, which has been recommended to me by quite a few people. Before we start, 2 quick things. Firstly, yeah, I will eventually get a Twitter. Blah. But for now, if you want to contact me, please email me at starbirdsensei@gmail.com, especially if you have any videos or articles you would like me to cover. Secondly, this video was 30 cock-gobbling minutes long, so I am going to trim it down to the salient points. What is with MGTOWs and these epic marathon rants? So, without further ado, here we have Angry MGTOW with Is MGTOW becoming a hate movement against women?
Angry MGTOW here.
Ah! Holy shit, why would you do that? Well, I can see why you call yourself Angry MGTOW. Bloody hell, I think my ears nearly exploded out of my butthole.
Is MGTOW becoming a hate movement against women?
Is MGTOW becoming a hate movement against women? I certainly think so. It hasn't always been this way, not exactly, but with the rhetoric thrown around by you and your buddies these days, I think we've moved to that point now. Let's see where this goes.
I did a video recently with a group of men who came from the skeptic and anti-feminist communities. Interestingly enough, in that very video, one of the guys actually decided to become a MGTOW in that very video. The youngest guy, who was around 16 or 17 years old.
Fucking hell. And you're proud of that? Yeah, anyone that says MGTOW is not recruiting, here we have Angry MGTOW gloating about converting a fucking kid who probably hasn't even had a real relationship yet. Is this representative of your movement? I certainly hope not. Much like I have an issue with the SJWs convincing kids that they are trans, I have a massive issue with MGTOWs convincing kids to go MGTOW, despite the fact that it will probably have lifelong consequences for them.
But there was an older guy named Joe, or Henry I think his name was. And he basically was saying that MGTOWs are a bunch of pussies because we don't want to have anything to do with women.
Pussies? No, I don't really agree with that. I think that a lot of radical MGTOWs tend to either be, well, in a nutshell, motivated by either a lack of good relationship experiences combined with a lot of black pill stats like the commonly used divorce, child custody, and alimony figures, as well as it being, in many ways, an easy option, a way to remove a big part of one's life's stresses. Now, hashtag not all MGTOWs. It's a choice that I can respect and, as I have mentioned before, considered myself. But there is a big difference between a man swearing off marriage and relationships and, well, going his own way for his own reasons, and someone trying to get others to do the same under the excuse of educating them. You know when people say that MGTOW and feminism/social justice are becoming one and the same? Yeah, that's why.
And it's always been the job of men to lead society, and it's our fault why society is the way it is right now. Because we didn't do our job, that's why women are the way they are.
I would say that it's the fault of society, men and women, why society is the way it is right now. Men have been far too willing to cave into social justice and feminism, and social justice and feminism have needed to perpetuate themselves despite the fact that they are no longer needed in the West, largely for financial reasons. It is an issue but it's not one that can really be laid at anyone's door exactly. It's one that we need to work together to deal with.
MGTOW is not a hate movement against women. MGTOW is essentially men just reclaiming their masculinity and living their lives the way they choose to.
Wrong. If that was the case, you wouldn't see a single "this is why I became a MGTOW" or "these are the goals of MGTOW" or MGTOW social recruitment videos. MGTOW may have started like that, but it has been taken over by the crazies, who have opined on everything from removing voting rights from women — I think you've done this yourself — to how egalitarianism is feminist, not to mention a massive amount of biological deterministic crap about how women are born evil and that, yes, all women are like that. MGTOW is not, these days, an individualistic movement. It is collectivistic and quickly becoming a fucking cult.
In that very interview that I did with those guys, he failed to actually admit that women have a role to play in any of the things that are actually happening. It's, in other words, yeah, sure, they're doing these things, but it's the government to blame.
Yes, we should, because the government are the people in charge. They are the ones who will have to implement any change. Of course, you should petition the government and, well, vote with your vote, I guess. But you cannot blame individuals, especially now, or even demographics of society, for the way things are. Not these days. Of course, a lot of the problems do have their roots in feminism in the past, but change is going to have to come from the top. And the change, unfortunately, is going to be slow and rather painful for society.
I remember in the video I spoke to him about the fact that the MRA had failed.
The MRA are a very, very new movement, speaking politically. And how exactly have they failed? They've got a lot of attention. They've actually got politicians into a lot of heavily feminist parties, at least in the UK. Fucking Trump is being elected. And, I don't see. This is a common line from MGTOWs that the MRA are useless and have failed. I don't think you've given them enough time, to be honest.
He would rather watch other men have their lives torn apart, like his was, or suffer worse than he is.
Yeah, I'm going to trim this down. It's a long, sad story about some chap who got screwed by alimony and ended up losing custody. Alimony, yeah, I've talked about this in previous videos. It's an outdated concept, but it is changing, and these sorts of changes take time. What exactly does MGTOW aim to do to change these laws, by the way? Do you know who is trying? The MRAs. Do you know who is stopping them? Oddly enough, not feminists. It's actually the divorce lawyers and their massive lobby who were able to overturn alimony reform in Florida. Divorce as an industry is huge, as is settlement negotiation. If you really want to change divorce law, this would be a good place to start.
He talks about the fact that it's men who should be the ones. MGTOW should be used as a movement for good, to bring men and women back together. It's like he doesn't understand it. The only reason why he made that statement is because he sees that MGTOW is accomplishing something.
Okay, firstly, what are the goals of MGTOW? I've got a video coming out on this eventually, but I cannot seem to get a straight answer on this one. Secondly, what exactly is MGTOW accomplishing?
When the MRAs have completely failed, MGTOW grows stronger.
Okay, jawohl, mein Führer. What is with this hatred that MGTOWs seem to have for MRAs? I will never understand it. Holy shit.
See, feminists have exploited us, demeaned us, degraded us, used us, So we're simply turning our backs. He'll say, well, you're just doing the job of feminism.
Certain types of feminism? Absolutely. Are you familiar with the second-wave separatists like Julie Bindel? They would be very, very happy at MGTOW because their idea of a utopia was women and men being separate. Of course, their exact vision of the utopia is probably different to yours, but broadly speaking, yeah, MGTOW is accomplishing exactly what the second-wave feminists wanted. Separatism.
No, they wanted slaves to kill us, to rip us apart, and to be unaccountable for it. Now we're taking back our power. Sure, we're taking our balls and going home, and it feels good.
You're not wrong here. A lot of feminists did sort of want slaves, but you're also not wrong to say that it feels good. And the reason it feels good is that sometimes giving up does. The other option is to fight and to actually try and change something, not to slink away, well, with your balls between your legs.
You go, you get some pussy here and there, and you're fine. There are a lot of guys who are actually good at hooking up with women, and they're relatively good at it. And the idea of marriage is pointless in their mind for them.
When they are younger, sure. But as men get older, they tend to want to settle down and start a family. Oh, I'm sure there are a few happy bachelors out there. And yeah, a break is great every once in a while. But I've never met a happy bachelor over 50. Let's not forget that men in good marriages are happier, more financially stable, and it's significantly better for any kids involved. Feel free to look at previous videos of mine for the stats on this.
There are other guys like me who don't even want to take the risk, so we go and we fuck a hooker. And I feel fine about that.
Well, good for you. The issue isn't so much what you do, it's that you're trying to convince other people to do so.
You should be proud to be a MGTOW. And at no point should you think that there's anything wrong with being a MGTOW.
As long as they agree with you, right? What if a MGTOW wants to get married? What if a man says, hey, you know what? I am going to go my own way. I am going to be aware of the risks, but I think I found a good partner, and so my way is going to be a happy marriage with kids. Are they still a MGTOW? This is an honest question. I'm very curious to hear other MGTOW's opinions of this.
But no man should be told that he has to go associate with a woman. He has to go and try harder when women have done horrible things to men.
For fuck's sake, nobody is saying that you have to have anything to do with women. Hell, not even the MRAs are saying that. I don't think many people would say that. And yeah, men have done horrible things to women, and women have done horrible things to men, and men have done horrible things to men. People are pretty horrible creatures, especially if you look back in time. I'm very curious, what are MGTOW's opinions on things that happen in, say, Islam, or some of the North African countries, or even some Asian countries where female infanticide is still pretty common? Women are not the only people who are capable of being evil. All human beings are capable of it. The trick is to make sure that you aren't, and that your partner isn't.
During the Civil War, countless men, white men, died so that blacks could be free. Let's not talk about the rights or wrongs of slavery, because slavery has been around for generations. Hell, it's talked about in the Bible.
Holy crap. You know what? I am very curious to hear your opinions on slavery now. Very, very curious.
But when feminism was wreaking havoc throughout society, destroying the lives of men, treating us unfairly, throwing us in jail for manspreading.
What the fuck are you on about? Alright. Old school feminism, like first and second wave feminism, had problems, sure. But they did have some legitimate gripes with society. And has anyone actually been put in jail for manspreading? The whole manspreading thing is fucking stupid, don't get me wrong, but can you give me some citations showing me that someone has actually been imprisoned for it? I'm very curious.
Ripping our wealth and resources from us, tearing us away from our children, having us falsely arrested, and our reputations ruined because of lies by a woman that went unquestioned.
Was it all women doing these things, or was it just a very toxic and vocal minority?
Where were women? Where were they? Where were white, black, Asian? Where were women when all of this was happening?
Honestly, probably watching the news. You know, the people who are really responsible for making this possible. If you're talking about the cases like Jackie or Mattress Girl, I don't know, are they the same? I always forget. This was more about the media outcry and the stupid freaking college rules that allowed accusations to be taken as truth and meant to be victimized. I don't think most women were even aware of this shit, or if they were probably fed the party line by the media. If you really want to target someone in this, target the media, or the universities, or the women that made the accusations themselves. All women? I don't think so.
You can't say no women talked about it, because women have been talking. There are some women who have been talking about it since the 80s or before, even the 70s. That predate Christina Hofsummers, that predate Camille Palagina, that way predate Karen Strawn.
What is it with MGTOWs and Karen Strawn? Because you guys really do not seem to like her. Is it because she's popular?
In fact, many of these same women found themselves being attacked by radical feminists. Radical feminists and even other women.
Yes, and feminism is cancer. But don't you see how MGTOW is becoming the other side of the coin, at least the radical kind on YouTube? I see MGTOWs attacking other men. I even see MGTOWs attacking other MGTOWs. What the hell is going on?
All women let feminism happen. They all collected their spoils. They all participated in it using their silence.
Holy shit. Are we really going down this rabbit hole where the sins of the father, or I guess in this case mother, apply to the child? Because I really don't want to. This is something the SJWs and the black supremacists now like Cynthia G use. It's a really bad way of arguing. Please stop.
So I'm sick and tired of people saying it's MGTOW becoming a hate movement against women. No, there's been a hate movement against men for generations now.
Ow. I may have to end this video soon. This guy is actually hurting my ears to listen to. But note how you do not actually repudiate or in any way refute the idea that your kind of MGTOW is a hate group. All you've said here is that women have done some bad things. This is the kind of logic that is used by, well, actual hate groups, such as Black Lives Matter. Think on that for a bit.
And women sat back and they did nothing. They did nothing. They didn't stand up for us. They didn't stand with us. They kept their fucking mouths closed.
Did all women do this, or just a few? Once again, even going by your own black pill stats, at least half women aren't that bad. I do not get where this hate comes from, but wow, is there a lot of it.
And it's absolute bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with you here. It's absolute bullshit.
We have much smaller political reach than feminists.
For now, no. MGTOW is a very new movement, while feminism is, over a century old now. But the pendulum will swing the other way, and I think it is in all of our best interests to ensure that these kinds of radical, exclusionary, or supremacist movements aren't the face of the other side when the pendulum does swing back. In the words of Spencer Tracy, you've got to stop them somewhere.
But more men are naturally turning MGTOW, even if they're not going by the name. Even if they've never heard of MGTOW, they are emulating MGTOW practices. Not getting married, not having children, focusing on themselves and their own happiness.
Is this women's fault, or is this simply that society has reached a point now where just making ends meet is hard enough, and starting a family and getting married is the furthest thing from people's minds, at least until they're in their 40s?
But you know what third wave is going to look like? Third wave MGTOW is going to start in the MGTOW movement, and it's going to literally start to come out in all walks of society, which is going to be literally men choosing not to have anything to do with women at all, avoiding social spaces that women inhabit, having as little contact with women or conversations with them as possible.
So basically the male equivalent of the second wave feminist separatists. Fuck me, do you really want to see this? Do you really think this is going to be good for society, or anyone, or even the men you're talking about? Is this really what MGTOW is aiming for, this kind of segregation? I fucking hope not.
Separatism is going to become a new norm, a push for gender segregation, and it's going to happen naturally.
Do you know where you're seeing a lot of this these days? Japan, and MGTOWs really seem to love the example of Japan as a society where MGTOW has occurred naturally. You're talking mostly about the herbivore men. I'm not really going to go into this now, but let's just say that herbivore men are not exactly MGTOWs. Most of them haven't sworn off women. They simply are trying really hard to make a go of it in a very, very, very difficult working society. And beyond that, Japan is fucking dying, dude. Do you really want to see this happen to the rest of the world?
Disintegrate in society because it's dying. In 2017, feminism will be dead. 2018, they won't know they're dead. They'll still be making noise in 2018. They just won't notice that no one sees them. 2019, everyone's going to just try to act like feminism never happened. Oh, it never happened, it never happened, it never happened.
Unfortunately, you couldn't be wronger if you tried. You see, feminism and social justice aren't just a movement. They've been a movement for so long that they've actually become an industry. And the thing about industries is that they need to be self-sustaining. You will never see feminism fully die, I think. It will always find ways of sustaining itself. What we need to do is shift feminism to areas that need it. For example, the Middle East and Africa. You know, those shield issues that feminists are so gung-ho about talking about, but have no real interest in fixing.
Michael Lineage puts it well. The hate movement is just a perception by the ignorant fools. Only ignorant fools are calling MGTOW a hate movement.
Wrong. Let's just look at the Wikipedia definition for now, for sake of ease. A hate group is a social group that advocates and practices hatred, hostility, or violence towards members of a race, ethnicity, nation, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, or yada 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 yada. Now, MGTOWs aren't violent, but hatred and hostility? Yeah. Just go back and look at this video. Holy crap. MGTOW, at least radical MGTOW, is very much, in its way, a hate movement. Much in the same way that radical feminism, Black Lives Matter, etc., etc., are hate movements.
I don't think all women are bad. I don't think all women are evil, but I think all women possess the same nature.
Well, I say potato and you say potato. I say tomato and you say bullshit. Anyway, I am going to cut this off now. This guy is actually making my ears bleed. Seriously, dude, tone it down. Is MGTOW a hate movement? At a balance, I would have to say that yes. In terms of your radical separatist MGTOW, it is a hate movement. It assumes that women have a pathological biological nature that predisposes them to evil, and says that men need to segregate themselves from women or something. Goals do not seem to be one of MGTOW's strong points. I will happily say this again, not all MGTOWs are like this. I do sympathize with men trying to find a good woman in the current climate in the West. But what you are trying to build here, as you have clearly stated, is something akin to the radical separatist feminism a la Julie Bindel, and that is not a good thing. If MGTOW actually wants to accomplish societal change, it needs some kind of orthodoxy and internal unity. But what you have now is a gigantic flood of different, often contradictory opinions, and, as is the case with large amounts of water, the bullshit tends to float to the top. Thanks for watching the video, or listening. I'm never quite sure what the correct term is on YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give me a like. If you want to see more like it, why not subscribe? If you didn't enjoy it or disagree, feel free to leave me a comment in the, well, comments. Thanks all. Cheers.
And it's absolute bullshit.